The date is Friday, May 21st, and you're listening to Entertain This, a thought-provoking podcast encapsulating all things entertainment. This week's episode, we're talking about a rare theatrical release from the land of the rising sun, Demon Slayer Mugen Train. So what is it that makes this film so significant? Maybe it's the box office record that's smashing, or the art style, maybe the animation, or all these things together. Find out and listen along with us, and enjoy.
Hello everybody and welcome back to your favorite show on the internet encapsulating everything entertainment. It's Entertain This.
Entertain This.
Jesus. It's scary what you do. What you do is scary. So just to fill our audience in on the kind of week that we've had so far, Nick is fired from the podcast, but he won't leave. So, because of that, he will be staying for one more episode, but after that, we will be replacing him with an animated animal. So please send us messages and let us know which animated animal you'd like to see replace Nick. Now keep in mind, that animal will have a voice very similar to Nick's. I don't know why, that's just what the adoption agency said. We'll keep him in a bunker in my backyard. What do we have going on this week, gents?
You know, I'm not sure anymore.
You're going to have to identify yourself first.
I think my cold openings have been getting a little wild, if I'm being honest. If I'm being even more honest, I want to make a quick observation for the people listening at home. I listen to a lot of podcasts. This isn't my week to talk, so don't think this is how we're starting the subject. I'm just talking. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Some of those include, here's some free marketing for you guys, My Brother and Me, a show called Reply All that I will say was a big inspiration in this podcast that we do, because it was what I was listening to when this was conceived, and a show called Night Vale. And I only recently started listening to Welcome to Night Vale, and the cold opening that I just did, I subconsciously replicated how that show goes, and I noticed it as soon as I did it, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry, everybody. But that's what happens when you listen to podcasts literally all day.
Yeah.
It does happen. Anyways, I'm Nick.
No, wait, hold on.
Sorry. I'm sorry. You please go ahead.
Anybody who has any form of like OCD would really get upset if we did it in the wrong order. Yeah. And that includes me. So let's do it. Hi, I'm Alex.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Nick. And I have a substance abuse No, I'm kidding.
A substance abuse disorder?
Yeah, I drink too much water.
Michael, it's your week to do the podcast. So without further ado,
So we're going to start it?
We're just going to go ahead and start it and ignore your water cry for help.
It's true.
All right. Cool. So
it's like, how do you start a podcast after that?
I know. Okay, so I'm very excited to be talking about the subject, and like as I'm known to do, I did lots of preparation for this. And yeah, I recently was able to go out and enjoy a nice movie production in theaters in a nice COVID-safe environment.
Ooh.
How dare you? No,
I know.
Hey, before we vaccinate them, who cares, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it was a little bit of a risk, but like at the same time, like it was something that I was so extremely excited to watch, something I'd been looking forward to for legitimately like a year and a half. And so for me, it was like, okay, this is totally worth it. And you know what, boys? I'm happy to say we're back in my wheelhouse because we're talking about a motherfucking anime movie.
Oh, come on, Michael. You said we wouldn't do the weeaboo stuff anymore. You know I don't like editing the thumbnails when I gotta go through all the anime pictures on Google.
Just don't use DeviantArt, then you're fine.
Ooh.
It's hard not to. It's in the Google search results. It's just there. Oh, Michael. That That's
I
fine.
know.
I'm excited because every time that we do talk about like anime or something like that, we're delving into a topic in which I know very little about. So it's always a nice learning experience for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
do
I mean
like
that's part of the reason why I like talking about it with you all is because like you all give me like a whole new perspective on any topics that I cover, like anime wise, because it's like I never have to talk about this with anyone because you're like my only friends and you don't watch anime, so who would I talk
So
to?
let's just
True,
scream
and
it
true.
into the void of the internet and see who picks up on the other end.
Yes.
Absolutely. So there's not a lot of anime movies that are out there right now.
There's a Pokemon
Typically-
movie where Pikachu talked.
Does that count?
Yes.
It was if it was in theaters, yeah,
It was
Is
in
anime?
theaters.
I don't know.
yeah.
Because Ash died and then Pikachu started talking and everyone
Oh.
went, no!
Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I remember
that.
that.
That's big news. I didn't know Ash died.
Yeah.
That is
Oh, yeah.
old.
That was the first-
Ash
the
has
first Pokemon
died
movie.
like 5-6 times, dude.
Has he? I think he's died once, and it was like internationally traumatizing to small children, and so Pokemon was like, "Okay, we're not doing that again."
Surprise, he's
Okay,
alive again.
Hold on, I'll Google it. How many times has Ash died?
Okay, so either way, so I'll actually let you all know what movie we're gonna talk about.
Oh,
and
yes.
it's the Demon Slayer movie. So Demon Slayer Mugen Train is what it's
Okay,
called.
okay. The very first result is Ash Ketchum's list of deaths. So,
Top 10 Ash Ketchum Deaths. Here we go. Number 1.
7. He has died 7 times.
Wait, really?
That's
Yes.
not even enough for a top
Holy
10
shit.
list.
Oh my god,
That's too much.
Okay, that's a future episode, the dark side of Pokemon.
I'll say it. That's too many times to die.
All right. But anyways, for
Mugen
like the
Train.
4th time, hopping back onto the subject, Demon Slayer Mugen Train.
That's the full.
so.
Okay.
So why would this be something that I'd look forward to for so long? So this is a movie that has been in Japan only for like the last year. And it just came to the U.S. about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so there was a lot of hype being built around this movie because this movie did extremely well in Japan. Just to say the least, it set multiple box office records, including being the highest grossing film, R-rated or otherwise, of all time in Japan, the highest grossing anime film of all time, and the highest grossing Japanese film internationally, passing the legendary Spirited Away.
Ooh.
Which, have you two seen Spirited Away before?
Yes. I love Studio Ghibli.
Yeah. And so for a movie to pass Studio Ghibli's most legendary movie,
I don't know.
something about
Totoro's
it has
pretty
to be
cool,
really
but-
special.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way real quick. Is there a train in this?
Yes.
Damn it. You can't.
In fact,
you're
from
playing, you're playing into the meme, though.
He
the
said
entire
train. You're gonna
movie
ask me to
takes
not-
place. The entire movie takes place on a single train.
All right. Maybe I'm interested. Maybe I'm not. I don't
You're
know.
already in. Like, now
Yeah,
he just
you're
has
in.
to convince me. You can't play coy.
So, Demon Slayer Mugen Train. So, sorry, I'm just collecting my thoughts back again. Feel like I'm in a bit of a whirlwind.
I feel like you're on top of it.
So, yeah, possibly.
We're not talking about the Polar Express again, so get that out of your head.
Darn it.
So, Demon Slayer, we've talked about Shonen Jump before, right? I think it might have been on like a quick this or something, but it wasn't necessarily something that we spent like too long talking about. But
Correct, yep.
for anyone who doesn't know, Shonen Jump is a weekly published manga magazine that it comes from Japan, that has hosted the likes of like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, like pretty much any like big anime that you've ever possibly seen started from Shonen Jump.
Yes.
Demon Slayer, like those, came from Shonen Jump. And the manga itself was really like nothing too big to write home about. Like, it was very good, but it like wasn't anything too special. And so when it was being adapted into an anime, there wasn't a lot of like hype around it. until people saw who picked the movie up, or who picked the show up. And that was a animation studio called Ufotable. UFO table, essentially. And they are known for producing some of the most beautiful shows of all time. And to kind of lean into that, the first time that you sit down and watch this movie, at least for me, I felt like it seemed like I had walked into the wrong movie theater. Because as the movie starts playing, the animation is so incredibly beautiful and realistic that I thought I wasn't even watching like an animated movie. I thought it was just like a slow pan over a forest, and that I was being pulled into like some docu-series movie.
Wow.
And that's kind of what Demon Slayer is known for, really. The anime is being this incredibly beautiful, awe-inspiring to the deepest definition of awe-inspiring. That is what this show is. It creates action scenes and just sequences that blow your mind with just what they're capable of expressing. Mm-hmm. So to give you guys a little bit of a background into like the show's setting, we're essentially into this like semi-industrial revolution, feudal Japan era. It correlates to like a real era of Japan that I can't remember the name of.
Is it the Meiji Restoration?
Possibly. I think it was after the Meiji Restoration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because I think the Meiji Restoration, if I remember right, came after like they started implementing laws in regards to like you're not allowed to carry swords around.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It was meant to be a time and period to like kind of unite Japan as a whole.
Oh, okay. So this is like after the 1850s when Japan was like kind of opened up to the Western world.
Yeah,
Stop
a little
me if I'm
bit, but
wrong.
it still is very much like I mean, Japan kind of has always been a very like enclosed country.
Isolationist in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, isolationist. That was the word I was looking for. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
And so you get a lot of these like beautiful sceneries that you would expect out of like a feudal Japan painting almost. But then you would transition into these semi-urban environments where you have things like giant steam engine trains. And yeah, I'm just getting lost thinking about this movie because there's so much I want to cover.
One step at a time, brother.
I know. So let's get talking about the characters. So one of the things that always happens in any shonen anime is that there are fantastic characters underneath the hood. You've got the main character. His name is Tanjiro. You have his sister, Nezuko. Mm-hmm. And then they're basically like two sidekicks, Zunitsu and Inosuke. To give you a brief description, Tanjiro is like the epitome of a good boy. Like he is like what you expect, just a pure soul, not like you, Nick. No. He's just an absolutely pure soul who just wants to love everyone, sees good in everyone, and sure, Alex, like you. Yeah.
We're pointing to each other on the video screen.
And then you have a sister who is very similar to Tanjiro, but some stuff happens which deeply changes her character from the very first episode. You have Zenitsu, who, like, best way to describe him, which, Nick, I think you'll remember this. Do you remember the meme of, like, Ultra Instinct Shaggy? Where it was, like, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo,
okay,
if he wanted to become, like, the most powerful being in the universe.
Is that when the eyes kind of turn into, like, little, star things?
Yeah.
Okay.
They made a whole D&D page where it was like final boss Shaggy, and it had like all of his stats. And I saved it because I swear to God I was gonna throw him at somebody just to see what happens.
Zoinks!
Like, you totally messed up being here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Get off my train.
So Zenitsu is basically Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Like, normally he is the biggest, like, annoying scaredy cat, little, just frankly, just bitch. Like, and you hate him so much. But anytime he falls asleep or goes unconscious, turns into the biggest badass.
So it's kind of a Hulk thing going on, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
And then you have Inosuke, and Inosuke is a character who is raised in the wild, is a big idiot, and wears a wild boar's head as a mask at all times. And underneath of that, he's like the prettiest boy in the land.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of the big like characteristics about Demon Slayer is that there is good in anyone. And that's where Tanjiro kind of comes in. He experiences in the first episode this major traumatic event that changes and sets the story into place. It's not too much a spoiler since it happens in the first episode, but in this world there are demons that will come out at night because if they go into the sunlight, they disintegrate. And they will go and like try and like find people to feast on. Tanjiro, while he's out delivering charcoal to like the local town, comes back to his family's home to find that his entire family of both his mother and his like 7 siblings, all the way down to like 3 years old, have all been murdered like gruesomely in their home by what seems to be a demon. However, he notices that his sister Nezuko, that she is barely hanging on to life. So he tries to take Nezuko to the closest town to get help for her. But what ended up happening is Nezuko was transformed into a demon. And
Are these spoilers for this movie?
No, this is the first episode of the anime.
Oh, so this isn't just like a movie. This is like a full-blown... this is the movie is a feature of the anime.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tanjiro then has to try and save Nezuko, and he's able to prevent her from ever eating anyone, and she's able to maintain her own sense of self-consciousness, and becomes like essentially the only good demon in this entire world. And I kind of want to circle back to what you just said, Alex. Like, it's a continuation. It's a feature. Typically with anime movies that tie into series, they have this big problem where the movie kind of can't be a canon part of the story, because if you include a major part of a storyline into a feature film, you run the risk of subdividing your audience, because you're then essentially putting a gate on top of a major part of the plot itself. You're basically saying, like, you have to consume this other part of the story through other means than what you typically would. It's kind of the same thing where it's like if you are watching a TV series and you, like the people behind the TV series release like a novel that introduces major characters and major plot points that drastically affect the story of the show. They're putting a gate in front of it, like they're gatekeeping essentially.
I see that.
That seems like the opposite of the marketing tactic used to the Five Nights at Freddy's series, where it's like, if you want to know anything about what's going on, you're gonna buy everything. In fact, we hit a codex in a lunchbox, so go fuck yourself.
And it's pretty, we don't see a lot of people do that because you run that major risk of creating divides within your own audience and basically like adding a paywall to people getting to get the entire full story. And so typically with like anime movies is like, these will be non-canon stories that kind of go alongside, that are essentially like what you would think is like an alternate timeline essentially, because those stories are never referenced in the show ever again. It's just this one-time thing, no matter how like bombastic and traumatic these stories may be to the actual characters. Never once is it ever referenced again. Demon Slayer took the opposite approach. They made the entire next arc of the series this feature film. So the feature film takes place immediately following the last episode of the first season and covers what would normally be probably close to like 5 or 6 episodes of the TV series.
So it did the opposite of what we had said?
Yes, it did the opposite because this is, and the reason why I framed it in that way is because this is something that is so rare in not just anime movies, but pretty much any major like franchise. Just because then it creates like I said, it creates this gatekeeping essentially to your audience, but it also can make things just a lot harder to reconcile, like within the actual world itself. And that's probably one of the major reasons why this movie did so well, because Demon Slayer over the last year has become one of the most popular anime series of all time. It's a series that you two have probably either heard of or have seen clips of, mostly because last year on Twitter, after episode 19 of the first season came out, clips of a certain scene went viral on Twitter, and it was like the hashtag was trending nationally for or internationally for I think like 5 or 6 days afterwards. The scene in question is, in my opinion, one of the most emotional and just overall beautiful scenes in any TV, movie, show, anime, whatever you can think of. It is like the perfect culmination to me of fitting in with the message of the show as a whole and visually expressing what the overall like design goals of the show are, and it blows your mind. It's like the scene in question has also some incredibly beautiful music to go along with it, and it's so beautiful to the point where pretty much every time that I hear the song, I have just like a Pavlovian response to it and just immediately start to like cry a little bit. Wow. I recently even went back and watched the show with Jade, my girlfriend, and that scene came up. I turned and said to her, like, yeah, I think every time I listen to this, I start crying. And then having that recognition of like, oh shit, I'm about to cry. Immediately just started like ugly crying.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not a old baby.
It was just like, hey, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, every time I watch this, I start crying. And now...
Poor Michael.
But this show just has, like, it's not like the deepest show in the world. Like, it's not. Like, it's very simple in its overall structure. Like, it is very easy to follow. The characters are all pretty much, like, one note. Like, you've got Tanjiro, good boy. Nezuko, cute, like, younger sister. You've got Zenitsu, like, scaredy cat crybaby. And then Inosuke, big, dumb, strong boy. And that kind of goes the same for every other character. Like you'll have like guy who like uses fire, and so he's got a fiery passion. It's like you've got guy who uses like cloud magic essentially, and his head's always in the clouds.
Michael, you making this shit sound basic as hell.
And that's kind of one of the special things about it, though, is everything on its surface is incredibly basic. There's nothing special about it. But then you start watching it, and the visuals paired up alongside the music and the actual story, it is an absolutely complete masterpiece, essentially, from all angles. Like, it covers all aspects of TV and just does it so masterfully.
So it's kind of the thing where the sum of its parts makes a good show. It's not just, you can't just look at the individual pieces of it and be like, well, this is really good, this was executed well, but you have to kind of look at the holistic view of all these things added up into one solid package show.
Yeah, you do. There's definitely, like, the animation, I will say, is like probably the one piece that you can pull aside on its own and be like, this is a work of art. And then everything else paired along with that carries it into being this full aspect of a TV show. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like the typical, not to poo-poo Japanese animation style or anything like that, but you kind of see a lot of like Dragon Ball Z type of things where they repeat the same 3 frames over and over again, like, oh! He's charging at him with the sword. There's the lines going behind him. It's like,
right, yeah. No, like, so there is like some small like repetition, but it's never to the point where like you recognize, oh, this is like they're being lazy or something like that.
I'd be a lazy animator. Let's just put that on the line.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Like shortcuts, I'm gonna take them. I don't feel like drawing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So,
I mean, even the great Walt Disney Company would use their old frames from their other movies to make their new ones back in the day.
They would.
Which isn't even that like a thing that's going around on Twitter right now, which is like Mowgli was used as like the base of like Christopher Robin in like some scenes, like to the point where it's like the only thing that changed is the background and the characters themselves. It's like the actual like sizing, proportions, and the designs of the characters that's it.
And even back then, for the most part, I mean, this is just kind of general animation conversation, which is kind of in the realm of what we're talking about. But even then, they wouldn't mocap. They would do an old-fashioned version of mocapping where they would record somebody performing out the acts, such as falling off of a log, and then they would take it frame by frame and use those frames as references to draw their animation. So everybody cheats, except...
Yeah, which isn't... I believe that's actually like one of the reasons why... well, I mean, it's all because cameras couldn't shoot faster or couldn't play anything faster than 24 frames a second. But that was like one of the big reasons why animation stayed at 24 frames a second, is because it became a lot easier to handle things like mocap.
Yeah,
they did it on 2s. I think that was the animation style that you see a lot in early Walt Disney's. Same thing with Cuphead too.
Yeah,
Cuphead.
Hey, there's an episode. Someone write that down.
Yeah. Let's see. So let's start talking about the movie. So we talked about how it picks up immediately after the first season. You go through all this like big traumatic stuff. You grow attached to these characters through the like 24 episodes that you go through, and now you're jumping right back into like a canon story. So our 4 main characters find themselves on this train. They have been assigned on a mission to find and kill this demon that is causing disappearances and deaths on this train. Along with them, it comes essentially one of the like Demon Slayer generals, because there's this essentially military-like structure to the Demon Slayer Corps. And he comes along and is like it's essentially the first time that we see one of these characters being used like consistently for multiple episodes at a time. Like they would have like the little drop-ins just to kind of show how strong these types of characters are, and then they'd hop right back out. This is one of the first times that we get to see one actually put into action multiple times. And essentially what happens is there is a demon on this train that manipulates dreams. He can lull the passengers into a dreamlike state. He can put them asleep using his demon powers. In Demon Slayer, they're called like blood demon arts, because it's actually used. They actually use their powers by drawing their own blood.
What? So they cut themselves, and that's how they do it?
Yeah.
That's messed up, yo.
Yeah, they could do like certain, like every single demon has their own unique demon blood art. So like this one, it can put people to sleep and can manipulate their dreams. Nezuko, as an example, when she bleeds, she can essentially have her blood burst into an explosion and fire. And so the demon essentially puts every single character asleep and has these people that the demon has coerced into joining its side go into our characters' dreams, where we get to see like their subconsciouses play out. It's like Tanjiro, for him, he goes back to when his family was alive, and it's as if nothing in the story has ever happened. Nezuko's the only one who doesn't fall asleep because she was hidden in a box so that the other passengers didn't freak out from seeing a demon.
But she's a good demon.
She is. No one knows that, though.
Oh.
Well, like, the immediate, like, party knows, essentially. And, like, the Demon Slayer Corps at this point, they know. But regular humans, they would just be like, you're a demon. Get the fuck out of here.
Or I'll kill you.
Zenitsu, so one of his big character traits is he's a womanizer. Like a pathetic womanizer, essentially. Like, it's like he cries at the feet of women, like telling them that they have to marry him before he dies. That sort of thing.
Oh my god, that's not a womanizer. That's way fucking worse. That's manipulative shit.
I didn't want to call it simping, but it's a step beyond that.
It's not even that. A womanizer is someone who like gets women and then treats them like shit.
Right.
But this is like stalker.
Yeah.
Fucked.
So, yeah, basically. But that's why I was like a pathetic one.
Yeah, bad boy.
Yeah. His subconscious is him frolicking around a creek and meadow with Nezuko, Tanjiro's sister, the good demon girl.
Oh, no.
And then you have Inosuke, where Inosuke, his subconscious is inside of a deep cave where him and the other party members, which he calls his underlings,
Gross.
they're hunting a great beast.
Like you do.
And basically that's it. That's it. And so these people that this demon kind of co-ops into running into their dreams and basically tells them that they can kill these people by killing their soul, which they can access through their dreams. And that leads to a lot of tension and a lot of buildup. And it's really hard to talk about without getting into spoilers, so I'm going to avoid it. Kind of going back, we talked a little bit about like blood demon arts and how that is like the demon's special powers. Usually in anime, you have like the main characters, like they all have their own powers as well. And usually they're these like incredibly over the top. Like in Dragon Ball Z, you've got like Kamehamehas, spirit bombs. You've got all these different crazy beams and powers and all that. Like they can fly, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Demon Slayer, I would say, is special in the fact that like all of the characters, while they have powers, like they're not like mystical and magical powers. They're like rooted in real life. Like these are regular like swordsmen just wandering about and belong to this military corps. But earlier I talked a little bit about how you've got like this guy who uses like fire powers and this other one that uses like cloud powers. So one of the things that's really special and really lends into the art style of this show is that these powers are, while they're not actually happening, you have these swordsmen that are performing these moves that come attached to essentially an element. So like Tanjiro uses like water breathe. So it's all considered breathing because that is like the way that they open up their like blood vessels, get more energy in, are able to generate more force. It all starts with breathing. Tanjiro uses water breathing. So he has a set of moves that he can perform. And when he performs them, you get this impressionistic style of water starts streaming from the end of his sword. And it follows this outline as he swings his sword around. In one instance, he uses this version called like constant flux. So it mimics like water as it's would be like swirling down a pipe and constantly moving. As it is moving, it's generating more and more force. And so that's kind of like the whole idea behind this move is that as he keeps moving and like turning and performing these acrobatic moves, he's generating more force so that at the end of it, he can hit as hard as he possibly can. And this entire time, as this water is streaming from his sword, it eventually creates this giant like Japanese water dragon. And it's incredibly cool. Zenitsu, he uses like thunder, and so his whole thing is based off of like Iaijutsu, which in like Japanese swordplay is essentially like the art of attacking from the draw. So it's being able to draw your sword and attack in like one swift motion, essentially being the fastest to do so, because that's who wins. So Zenitsu, his entire thing is he's incredibly fast. Inosuke, his is a little bit more strange. It's beast breathing.
Oh, cool. This sounds very cool.
And so his entire thing is that he essentially attacks, and his moves are all like meant to mimic like a wild animal. So like it's even remarked that like he attacks very low to the ground, very low sweeps, as if he was an animal on all fours, defending themselves based off of instinct. To lend even more into this like bestial nature, he's one of the only characters in the entire show that uses two swords, and they are serrated. Oh. And so his entire thing is just like, I'm going to fuck you up and cause as much damage as I possibly can.
Yeah, serrated swords are a definite no-no.
Yeah. And so like his things are like, because he's also kind of dumb and he created his own style, it's like attacking with two swords, big slash breathe like move. It's like really stupid shit like that. But then he has like really useful things where it's like he can use his own style to essentially sense out people using like echolocation and use like things that are inspired by animals. But most of the time he's just a big dumb idiot and swings his sword hard.
Yeah. So I was with you until we talked about the Lightning Man. Then you threw in the Beast Man. But what I was about to say, before you threw in the Beast Man, was like, this is kind of echoing The Legend of Korra a little bit in the Avatar series.
A little bit. Yeah. So imagine instead of him being like actually able to manipulate elements, it's kind of like I said before, it's this impressionistic art that gives us as the audience a sense of what these moves represent.
And
so
it's a
moving
wave like the wind or moving like water. That's kind of like
moving like water. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's where like the being able to attack while drawing your sword and then putting it back, it as fast as lightning.
There you go.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, and so you have attacks like the general that we talked about from the Demon Slayer Corps. Like his whole thing is that he uses flame breathing. And so his things are like wide sweeps and very just strong and like passionate moves, essentially, as if like you are bringing the strength and heat of fire into battle.
Firebender.
Yeah, basically.
And it's actually a tabletop role-playing game yet?
Yeah. Not yet, but I'm sure it will be. But I don't know how you'd really do it, though, because like every character would be a monk. Basically,
maybe
every single
that's
character
it.
would be a monk. Yeah.
Maybe it's just D&D, but everyone plays stylized monks.
Yeah. It's either like you're either a stylized monk or just a fighter. But so, anyways, so they are trying to kill this demon that puts them to sleep. And where the movie gets its name, Mugen Train, Mugen is essentially like a rough translation for infinity. The whole idea being that as you are asleep, you're essentially experiencing this infinite sequence. In Tanjiro's case, he is one of the only characters that is able to figure out how to wake himself up. And
hey, Michael.
He goes, yeah.
Hey, Michael. Is this an Inception ripoff?
No.
Tell me right now.
It's not.
You can tell me if it is. I won't tell nobody. But
it's not.
Is this a Japanese anime that is actually an Inception ripoff?
No, it's not.
Is it a little like Inception?
I mean, it has to do with dreams, I guess. So
great. Yeah, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah.
I was in from the moment you said train, so I mean, I'm
I knew I had you. Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. You remember how we talked about the Bechdel test in an earlier episode of the show, where we talked about like what it takes for like something to pass the Bechdel test, and it explains like that media is like it's supportive of women and it empowers women because it passed this test.
Yes.
There's also a Mustakangas test.
Yep.
There's only one rule, and that rule is there a train? And if the answer to that question is yes, then it passes the Mustakangas test, and thus will be viewed by Nick Mustakangas.
Yep.
So, yeah, so we have this and Polar Express, and we haven't seeked out. That's what I was trying to say. Sought out. Yeah, that's the one. Sought out others for the list. But if you have any, email us at entertainthispodcast@gmail.com.
Michael did mention Thomas the Tank Engine. Quickly.
Nope, we're not going to get into this now. We're going to wait till they email us.
Peep, peep.
But yeah, so Tanjiro is like one of the only characters who's able to figure out how to get out of the dream. And I'm not going to spoil how, because that in and of itself comes as a surprise.
He spins the top and it doesn't fall down, so he knows.
Sure, okay.
Alex,
and so he ends up being the only character that is able to go toe to toe with this demon. And in the process, the demon is constantly putting him to sleep, and he has to wake up. Puts him to sleep. He has to wake up, and he has to do this in like milliseconds. And as far as I know, that's probably where it gets the name Mugen Train, this infinite train. But so what I really wanted to cover with talking about this is that anime in and of itself is generally becoming a more popular thing. Like you hear about it a lot more as like a socially acceptable thing to consume. And for me, this Demon Slayer movie is kind of the whole conception of that. It has become the largest grossing movie, passing another anime movie. It is the highest box office hit for this season, essentially. I don't remember how box offices are actually ranked, and like what time periods there are. But for right now, like even in the US, it has the highest box office. It is passing some incredible movies. And it was the movie that for the last year I have been looking forward to the most, along with millions and millions of others. And that's even passing like some Marvel movies that got like postponed that are still yet to come out. Like for me, this movie meant more than like a franchise that I have tied myself to essentially for the last, like Alex, you'd probably know, 10, 15 years.
The first Iron Man, I believe, came out in 2004, but we have a fact checker, so I'm sure we'll figure it out soon.
It was 2008, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to double down and lock it in.
All right, well, we got a fact checker, so we'll figure it out. Anyway, keep going.
You didn't need to use a 50-50 for that?
50-50
Can I get a 50-50? Can I split on these two aces?
It was 2008. That's...
Hey.
There you go. You're welcome.
I love our fact checker.
It was 2008, so... Anyway.
Please, I would love it if you use this bombastic intro that completely disrupts the conversations. 2008. All right, so bye.
It's going to excuse like that.
Well, now I feel like I have to leave.
Wait, do you know some fun facts about Marvel movies, maybe?
Fun facts?
Yeah.
Thanos is the bad guy. We know that.
Okay, we can't let Nick keep going. See, he's trashing this episode because he's not gonna be on it next week, and I can't stand by and let this happen.
It's true. Going down with the ship.
Don't fire him.
Oh, but
An animated dog will never have the same...
hey, we
true
never decided it was a
charm.
dog.
Sorry. I'm just assuming.
It could be. What if it's a lemur?
There you go.
Sabumafu, been there, done that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be okay with
That's
that.
derivative.
I like lemurs.
How about an otter?
Otter.
I like that.
Chloe, can I take you aside? Can we just have a talk over here real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, look, I didn't want to tell the audience this because let's just say Nick's ratings are down, but Nick is going to be the one who's going to be voicing the animated animals, so he's really not going anywhere. We're just going to replace his face with one of like a cat or baby possum or a raccoon, something like that. Okay. So,
Okay.
but
I could do that on
Don't
Snapchat
tell.
now if you want me to.
get out
Oh
of
my God,
here.
he was listening the whole
Get
time.
out of here. All right, bring Michael back. That's it for fact check with Chloe. Thank you.
Thanks, Chloe.
AK, go fact
Chloe.
yourself.
Go fact yourself.
Go fact yourself.
Let's get back.
Let's run it up.
Let's get back into it.
Oh my
Pretty
god.
sure somebody already claimed go fact
Go
yourself.
fact yourself.
Oh god. But anyways, so this movie means a lot to me. Is basically what I'm getting at. It's a culmination of something I've been looking forward to since the beginning of lockdown. It is representative of the just major social acceptance of anime as a genre, and is just an absolutely gorgeous and wonderful movie that I think anyone can pick up and watch at any time. You really don't need to know the story, like the overarching story. The characters themselves are very simple enough to get and understand from the get-go. But the amount of action and wonderful storytelling and just beautiful, beautiful artwork that is this movie that you can get out of it is just, in my opinion, something you have to see. Just to know what anime as a whole is capable of.
Yeah, the thing with anime that I kind of have to get over myself about is the weird stuff they do. And you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, hold on. You have to separate anime
Yeah.
from the stuff you're talking about. Because they're not the same
I don't know what
thing.
I'm talking about. That might be the question. And
I
I'll
don't
openly
know.
admit
No,
that.
I don't know what Nick is talking about.
Okay.
Because like I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, right?
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm the asshole.
That's some weird
Okay,
stuff.
I will say
you
real
go
quick.
ahead. Continue.
I will
with
say-
the weird stuff you're
Yeah.
referring to.
I
we'll
will-
just see if it gets where I think it's
If you're going to
get.
use JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as a reference for this, JoJo is its own whole thing. Like,
It's a little weird.
Nothing is like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There's
Okay.
a reason it's bizarre.
It is very bizarre, and they did a lot of like classic anime goofs, if you will. with
Yeah,
the-
well,
I mean,
Jo-
it comes with it, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
you do
but I
the
mean,
face
also-
zooming and the I
yeah,
don't know.
JoJo was also written in the 70s, and it was like the progenitor.
yeah.
Guys,
Yeah,
if
that
we're
one.
going to keep doing podcasts, we need to learn how to say words. I messed up 3 this episode.
Hasn't stopped us for 70 now, so.
You're so right. And it won't stop us.
I don't know words. That's
no.
a $2 word. You can keep it. Keep the
Oh,
change.
yeah. But Nick, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's usually some weird stuff that is inherent to anime, and
Yes.
I don't know if it's necessarily inherent to it because it's anime and because anime has its like own subculture that it like is constantly referencing itself in, but it's also just like the Japanese culture as a whole is very different from what we're used to.
Very much. Yes. That's why there's Eastern and Western cultures. You know, they just kind of happen that way, I guess.
And so there's like 2 levels of like unfamiliarity that you kind of have to get over and cope with essentially in order to feel like you can truly enjoy what you're watching. And for me, while Demon Slayer, especially the Demon Slayer movie, has a lot of these tropes and a lot of these different cultural aspects, it reduces the level of those to a minimum and provides just this underlying story and beautiful piece of art that you can experience independently from those tropes. And it makes it is just an incredible story from start to finish. It's high action from start to finish. Like essentially, once they press on the gas pedal, they're never letting up, even to the very end. It's essentially 2 hours of just incredible, beautiful action. And if there was like any one anime movie that I could like suggest for people to watch in order to get into anime, this one would probably be it.
Huh.
High
That's a lot.
praise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are like 12 Pokemon movies. And then at least 7 of them, Ash dies. So...
Go watch those
I'm just
first,
saying.
and then check out this. No, just kidding.
I only want to watch a supercut video of Ash dying.
What the hell, man? Ash was my childhood hero.
Somebody send that to me. Email it to us at entertainthispodcast@gmail.com.
And every time he dies, I wanted to pop up with like the GTA wasted.
There you go.
Oh my god, someone make this! It's genius! Instant viral!
Wasted.
It just zooms into Pikachu crying over Ash's dead body.
And then once it gets close enough and the music rises to a crescendo, Pikachu utters the words, "I love you." And the whole crowd went, "Boo! What the fuck? Why is he talking?" I'm still not over it.
Yeah. I don't know. He was good when he was talking in that Detective Pikachu movie.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that's because he was Ryan Reynolds, and everyone knows it. Even the straightest man would go gay for Ryan
that's
Reynolds. He is. They always pick a new sexiest man alive, but they're really wasting their time. Like,
Yeah.
It's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds.
It's Ryan Reynolds.
It has been.
Every
been
day.
since 2008.
I think
Beautiful
Ryan
man.
Reynolds hit 18, and then from that point on, he's been carrying that crown.
Yeah. I
Anyways.
don't remember what that movie was, but it was one that they constantly played on Comedy Central, like on repeat, especially near Christmas. That was like younger Ryan Reynolds, where he was like in high school a fat kid, and then he turned into Ryan Reynolds, and now is just like the hottest man alive.
That happened?
Hey, we have
Wow.
a fact checker who might be able to tell us what the title of that movie is.
Yeah, our fact checker who has the power of the internet at her fingertips.
See,
who
here the
we're
problem
totally
is at the
asking
beginning
to-
at the beginning of this episode, I Googled how many times Ash died, and now I feel like I have to keep using our fact checker because I'm the one who Googled the first one, and I took her job.
You subverted
and in
the
today's
fact
job
checker.
market, that's not something you should do to people.
Well, hey,
so I'm just making sure that
if the whole
I'm
animal
making
thing
up
doesn't
for
work
it.
out, we may have an open spot for her.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Or we get her to voice
I'll
the
be
animal.
excusing myself post haste.
What's up, guys?
She's back
Hey,
again.
welcome
It's
back.
me.
Did you find the movie
I'm back.
title?
Yeah, it's called Just Friends. It came out in 2005.
That
While
was
visiting
it.
his hometown during Christmas, a man comes face to face with his old high school crush, whom he was best friends with. A woman whose rejection of him turned him into a ferocious womanizer.
The correct usage of
Wow,
womanizer. Let's just-
that was. See, that's the kind of quality content we're looking for in a fact checker. All of that was great.
Thank you.
We either need that or the other end of the spectrum where you're like pop up and you go like
It's
it's
2008.
2008, and then you leave, and then you're out. No more words.
2008, you guys.
I got 2 looks. That's it.
Get you a
It's
fact checker
2008.
who can do both.
Yes. Jeez.
So yeah, they have him in a dumbass fat suit.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh, if
I mean,
that's
but
not-
it's Ryan Reynolds, so he's like cute hot though.
It's still cute though. It's
Yeah.
like a New Girl when they put Schmidt in the fat suit, and you're like,
Still cute.
"We built this Schmidt.
Yep.
We built this Schmidt on Tootsie Rolls." Anyway, thanks, Chloe.
Yeah.
You're
thank
welcome.
Hey, that was
Hi.
pretty good.
you. Yeah. I don't know. I
Anyways.
feel like we're just kind of rambling at this point, and that's basically all of the major.
Well, did you write a
points.
closing paragraph? Because that's what we usually do.
Yeah, what I had just said before the fact checking was a closing paragraph, and then we rambled.
Oh.
You got to do
Oh.
the thing with the clicker and like, all right, that's the scene.
Hey, hey, can somebody take us to promos? Hey, can somebody take us to promos?
Take it to the
Is
promos.
that me? Is that me? Or is that you?
Justin Wallace, Mitch Glasgow, and Deanna Cosby, 3 daily commuters are joining forces to create the comedy podcast known as Carpool Shenanigans. Each week we'll take a topic, tell a story, and hopefully make your drive to work just a little less shitty. Now the episode's about to begin, so we ask that you sit back, relax, and of course, let's get weird.
Hey, Cammy.
Hey, Bryant.
What do Robin Hood, Vlad the Impaler, and Mothman have in common?
IDK, what?
Well, they're all topics on our podcast Mythstory, where each week we discuss a new myth and the history behind it. That's Myth Story with an IE. See you then.
Perfection.
I feel like this episode we've been a little fast and loose with the content we've created, and I love it personally. I think it's a really enjoyable listening experience. But just to have a bit of a serious note for a second, I think it's about time that we retire those old promos. So I'll be spending the next week looking for 2 brand new promos. If you have something that you'd like to promote, reach out to us at entertainthispodcast@gmail.com in case you didn't remember what it was. Because I said it a lot. We can listen in and we'll see if maybe your promo is the right one for us. We'd appreciate some new promos to run. But we might just keep running Myth Story, but because, hey, Michael.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, what's a podcast that encapsulates all things entertainment?
IDK, what?
The Entertain This podcast, every Friday on the Scene Snobs Network.
Is that our new intro? Is that our new...
That's our new
called?
trailer.
Yeah.
Trailer? Yeah.
Take out the one where we do the possibly offensive Italian accents.
Yeah.
It's okay, because Michael's partially Italian.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is
not.
true.
Yeah.
And believe me when I say I have seen worse.
Yeah.
I took a DNA test. It's been proven. Look it up, you
I
guys.
just took a DNA test. Turns out I am 0% Italian. Not
And I'm
allowed to
also
eat spaghetti
not
anymore
the
because
father.
I'm not it. Wait, what? What was
Not
that
the
last
father.
part, Nick?
Nope.
Of who?
That's in your business, Alex. Okay.
Nick, do your quick this before I...
Is it my quick? Oh, it's okay.
Don't.
You doing that thing again where you
Yeah.
pretend like you didn't know?
The
No,
thing
like you
you've
did
done
last week?
For the
I
last,
almost
like,
forgot.
You remember that thing we said last week? We said we weren't going to do
We're
it
not- yeah,
anymore
I
because
know.
it made
I almost forgot.
it seem like we weren't
Full
professional.
disclosure.
Made it seem
Full
like-
disclosure. I almost forgot.
Hey, Nick, can I talk to you over here for a second?
No, let's do the quick this. Can we
Come
get a
on.
timer?
No, come on over here. Come on over here. Hey, man, what the hell? We talked about this last week. You said that you were going to
I
pretend
know,
like you weren't
but I
prepared
figured it
anymore.
would be funny this time around,
Okay,
maybe.
okay,
Because
well,
it was.
Did it feel funny? Did it feel
No.
like you got a good laugh at it?
This is
Do you
why
think
you're
that
getting
maybe
fired.
Do you think that maybe that this bit's making him laugh?
No.
Because honestly, I can't tell
No.
anymore. I think we're starting to lose grip on reality. And honestly, man, I'm panicking. I need you to get us out of here, man. Please do the quick this so we can get out. Okay, right? 1, 2, 3, break.
Oh,
Entertain this.
I need a timer. Or maybe.
Oh, okay. I'll pull it up
Oh,
for
you
you.
got
Pull up
it?
a timer.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I got it.
As a
No, I
reminder,
got it.
Quick this is only 5 minutes long, but sometimes we
Yeah,
go over
we-
that if it's really cool.
We go over that. If we like what people are talking about, we go over
Mm-hmm.
it. And if we don't like what people are talking about, we still let them go over it equally. If we don't like what someone's talking about, sometimes we cut them off. And if we do like what they're talking about, or we think it's funny, sometimes we cut them off. Let's do it. The point is try to keep it under 5 minutes.
Yep.
And
It's a
go.
guideline.
Yes, only a Sith deals in absolutes. But here we are once again, another quick this. But what am I here to talk about? You may remember the last episode I talked ad nauseum about a little French boy and his travels across the world. And today I'm here to talk about a little American boy's trip across Ohio. I'm going to allow myself to talk about one topic I can make every episode about. Any guesses on what?
Trains.
It's trains.
It's
Let's
trains.
go.
All right. So are you guys ready? You coming aboard?
Yeah, of course. Come on. We're stuck
Okay.
here. We're
Fucking
trapped.
click my ticket, Nick
we're
the
trapped.
conductor. I'm
Okay.
ready to
Trapped in the
go.
frames of this podcast until you allow us the decency of leaving. Go.
all aboard. As you guys might have recalled.
Punch my ticket, brother.
Punch. Okay. As you guys
What's it
might
say?
recall,
What's my ticket say?
it says P and an N somewhere in there.
Oh, why'd that kid say believe in? Mine says penis. This is bullshit. I did not hit
Nick,
that.
and you
Okay,
got
good.
to say you're reclaiming your time in order to get it back.
I'm reclaiming my time. FYI.
Okay.
But anyways,
Okay, hold on.
don't start the timer
Okay.
over. Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
You did it anyway. I took a little vacation a couple weeks back. It was a little weekend getaway, a couple of weekends ago. But The stated goal of this trip was to take a few days off from work and everything else to a place that wasn't my house. So, of course, I did that. I went up to beautiful Sandusky, Ohio, which for you geographically challenged people was in between Cleveland and Toledo on Lake Erie shores up there in my great home state. Now, at this point, you might be asking, what does Nick's travel blog have to do with entertainment? Well, it's more of an experience I had, if anything else. Some of you that might watch some of those travel blogger fellows on YouTube might wonder where they get all daddy's money to travel the world is entertainment. You might call that entertainment. So this is my little corner of travel blog, okay? But the real reason why I feel like I need to tell the world about all this is because I took a little stop along the way to a hidden gem along the rolling hills of central Ohio and Amish country. It's called the Age of Steam Roundhouse, and that is what my quick this is about today. And I think more people should see this place. So if you don't think to be a real fan to visit this place, it helps. But at very least, you should find enjoyment in learning the history or even the story surrounding these locomotives that are kept within the Roundhouse. But let me back up the train before I get too excited. What is the Age of Steam Roundhouse? It's a 1950s era roundhouse. It's a place where railroads kept their locomotives when they weren't being used. And it was constructed, all new, in 2011 by a guy called Jerry Joe Jacobson, who himself was a railroader, but his day job was an anesthesiologist. Kind of strange. Actually, we can tie this into the current episode because an anesthesiologist puts people to sleep, and he owns trains. And Mugen Train was also on a train. So really, it just kind of melds together. It's a perfect dovetail. But the railroad business for him was more of a passion project or a side hustle. But
Michael really liked that.
It took me a second.
I did it. Okay, we got there. But he builds this roundhouse using some local Amish timber framers. It's built out of white oak. It's very nice. But over several years, he goes around purchasing all these steam locomotives, and he stores them there. Now, also, they do restore old engines to look pretty, and some are even operable. You know, like they can carry steam and they can move on their own power. Out of the 18 that are actually there, only 2 are in operating condition. So the roundhouse kind of serves as more of a museum of how railroads used to operate, if anything else. You know what? That's all right with me, because the tour of the facility will tell you about each and every one of these locomotives, their backstories, how and when they were used, and how they ended up here in the roundhouse. Even if these are nothing more than tools the company used to get a job done, they are much like humans. They each have a unique story to tell and a purpose for which they were constructed. That's not kind of like humans, but whatever. The roundhouse has a variety of steam locomotives from different railroads and different sizes. There are some that could fit in your bedroom, and there are some that would take up 10 parking spaces if they were outside. One of the highlights of the tour for me was getting to see the sister locomotive of the real-life Polar Express. It's Nickel Plate Road, number 763, built by Lima Locomotive Works.
If this
in
were a
Lima,
Telltale
Ohio.
game, the screen right now would say, nobody liked that.
Nobody liked the Polar Express. This locomotive is very special to me because it's not only is a big hunk of steel, to say the least, but the wheels are easily as tall as me, 69 inches in diameter. And the entire locomotive is 16. Yeah, it's a sex number. It's 15 feet 8 inches tall, which is doesn't sound like much, but if you're standing next to it and you can imagine these things traveling 60 miles an hour down the tracks, you realize it's got some massive horsepower. It's a very complex machine too, and that's something I think that we can all appreciate. But beyond the pipes and marvelous engineering of these machines, these types of locomotives are an endangered species nowadays, being superseded by modern diesel-electric locomotives on railways today. But if you want to travel back in time and 300 miles in space to imagine what steam power might have looked like in its prime, I'd highly recommend that you entertain this Age of Steam Roundhouse in Sugar Creek, Ohio. So
Don't talk until it's time's up.
Oh, I have to keep talking? Are we just going to sit here in silence?
All right.
Polar Express.
Hey, I'm so sorry to everyone because he said Polar Express twice now, and any good listener of our podcast, any fan of us, will know that that is our group trigger word,
Yes.
and we're all very upset by it. But I'd also like to apologize to our one listener in Dublin who now has a goal set for them by Nick Mustakangas that they can never complete. And also, what's up? I love your beer. Guinness is great.
We have a couple of Swedish listeners too, but you know what? They're
From
welcome to
Sweden?
it. From Sweden.
And they're gone.
I like Volvo and Spotify.
Thanks.
Guys, what are we doing?
It's like the longer we stay on, the more we tank our own value.
You're so right. Anyway, I think that's it for this week, guys. Whatever happened this week, we hope it happens again next week because it's been
Unless bad
fun.
things
It's
happen.
been real. It's been fun. Unless bad things happen. Hey, did you guys hear about Ohio? Did you guys hear about the $1 million lottery
No.
that's happening?
Thank you.
For
Mr.
everybody in
DeWine.
Ohio who got at least one vaccine, they're entered in a lottery to win $1 million from the state
Sure
of
hope that's
Ohio.
me.
All you had to do is get vaccinated. That's what it takes in America to get them to do the thing that's going to help them in the long run. So there you go, Sweden. We're also pretty upset with that.
We're
So,
trying our best out here.
so all that being said, let's go ahead and wrap it up. First things first, I want to thank the Scene Snobs Network for, of course, having them or having us on their network. It helps with a bunch of stuff. I want to send out a personal thank you to Nick Mustakangas for printing out these sick Entertain This t-shirts. Mine got bleach dyed by Michael's girlfriend, but and Michael wiped his off by accident because he's such a big, strong boy. But Nick is currently wearing an Entertain This t-shirt, and if you're an audio listener of our podcast, you can go to our website at www.entertainthis.net and look at some of the pictures we have up on our website, some of our new headshots that we have up on our website from our new photo shoot. You can see what this t-shirt looks like. They're pretty cool, and if you think that you might be interested in buying one, go ahead and fill out that form at the bottom of our page. Say, hey, we like your t-shirts, and we'd like to get them, and we have 2 different kinds of t-shirts now. And if you want Entertain This t-shirt or any Entertain This merch, let us know if that's something that you want, and we'll add it to our website. Maybe.
Possibly.
Unless it proves to be difficult or time-consuming, and then we'll sweep this under the rug.
We don't do difficult things at all. Let's keep that in mind. I don't do hard things.
We've just done 63 episodes of a podcast because it's easy. Anyway, if you want to get in contact with us, if you have something that you would like us to cover on the show, you can do that. It's really easy. We have a bunch of ways you could reach out. One way in particular is to follow us on Twitter. Send us a message. We are at entertain_this. You can also hit us up on Instagram. We are Entertain This Podcast. Send us a message there. Let us know what you want to see us cover. Maybe throw us a few likes on our pictures while you're there. Or our personal accounts. I just posted a pretty good picture of us from our recent photo shoot, and it's very cute. We also have a Facebook group and a Discord. You can find all of that at our website. That is www.entertainthis.net. It's also a great place to fill out that form in case you don't want to type up an email. I get it. I get anxiety too. It's totally normal. Entertain us so we can entertain you, and you can entertain this. We'll talk to you guys next Friday. Goodbye.
Bye. This episode of Entertain This was written by Michael Savoya, with additional commentary from Nick Mustakangas and Alex Steele. Our showrunner and resident fact-checker is Chloe Price. Our theme music is Rush Bubble by Aaron Spencer, with additional interstitial music by DJW. Tune in every Friday for new episodes, and thanks for listening.